Jaxxon maybe joins the New Republic, plus we have a Tusken Raider female taking out TIE fighters with a sniper rifle, all this week on Star Wars Weekly. Hello fellow Star Wars fans, as always I'm excited to talk to you about Star Wars, the comics, novels, TV series, anything is game for me to talk about. And what we are talking about this week, we have two comics. First one being Star Wars Target Vader. This is issue number 2 out of, I believe, a 6-issue miniseries. This one is called The Plan. So we have this character of Valence, who you might remember from Legends. Well, he's brought into canon from the Imperial Cadet miniseries. So this is somewhere in that New Hope, like slightly before New Hope era, I believe. And well, there's this crazy idea that this group of rebel suppliers known as a Hidden Hand wants to get these bounty hunters to kill Vader. He is giving the rebellion some trouble. They want to take him out once and for all. And on the other side of things, we have Vader being instructed by Palpatine to take out the Hidden Hand as well from his perspective. So we have this cross ideas of both these different factions wanting to go against each other. So we have this bounty hunter group that consists of a Gamorrean, of a Rio Durant type character, an Ardinian to be specific. We have a Tusken Raider. We had a droid that got killed. And yeah, so we have this crew of bounty hunters and Dengar. We have this crew of bounty hunters. They're aboard the ship in this issue, and they need to get restocked on weapons, some very high weapons to take out a Sith Lord. They go to this planet. Turns out that there's a bit of history between a supplier of said weapons and Valence. And well, next thing you know, he is getting double-crossed by this guy who has a history with him. But then we had Baylart Valence actually cause some kind of ruckus with the Imperials, sending out a code, a false code, and well, he saves his own skin by calling down the Imperials to just rain death from above from the Star Destroyer, causes lots of confusion. We have Valence get out of there and lure Darth Vader to his location, and this issue ends with them now having another location to go to, which would be another location that Vader will also be at, to give them an opportunity to maybe try at least to assassinate Vader. So talking about things I liked in this issue, first off, starting off with this flashback, understanding the background, where does Valence come from? He grew up as a miner on this planet, and once the Empire took over, it made the planet free from being slaves, and well, his father told him, look, you have to go into stars, you have to do something else for our family, so it's nice to see like where he came from. Plus, talking about Valence in general, like, this guy is not just a meathead. This guy has a brain and is able to think about tactically what's the best odds for him to go against Vader. He's got to be very calculated just to lure out the Sith Lord himself, so having this double-crossing plan with supplying the information to Vader in a sense, and now knowing where Vader will go next to be better prepared with his crew. I do like the ship that Valence has. Very much a Corellian-inspired ship, sort of like the Falcon meets the Outrider from Star Wars Shadows of the Empire. I did like seeing that sudden shock, right? Where you turn a page and boom, there's a Star Destroyer that's bailing Valence out just in time. He called it right at the right second. This guy's awesome. Seeing that Tusken Raider, a female Tusken Raider, literally taking shots at these TIE fighters. We've seen that before in The Last Jedi on Crate. The rebels are using small arms fire and taking out TIE fighters, but seeing it in this format where this Tusken Raider is just holding her ground. First off, I just think it's cool that a Tusken Raider is actually off of her own planet of Tatooine and actually out in the galaxy. Like, I want to know why. Hopefully we get into the why she became a bounty hunter and why we see her there rather than on Tatooine. So that to me was pretty awesome, and just seeing the overall balance of this story play out. This is much more of a mature story. I get the kind of idea. This is like, yeah, we're gonna see some serious stuff going down in this issue, and I'm all for it because anytime Vader is on the scene, it's always interesting to see like how these guys are gonna survive against Vader. What is gonna be aftermath? Obviously, Dengar we know, so Vader knows about Dengar. How does that resolution set between them to where he's trying to use his help in The Empire Strikes Back. So moving on to IDW Comics, we have the Star Wars Adventures Annual 2019. Such a beautiful put together annual. It's pretty much like a trade paperback in smaller form. It's $7.99, but it has 2 stories. The first one, the bigger one, being about Lando Calrissian. This one is all about the harebrained heist with him and Jaxxon. So this is right after the events of Return of the Jedi. You can tell because the Millennium Falcon still has no dish from the destruction of the Death Star. Or yeah, so we have Han, who's communicating with Lando, saying, look, you got to bring the ship back to me. Lando says, I got a transmission that I picked up, maybe about some Imperial activity. I got to check it out. He goes to this area of space, still controlled by the Empire. These guys are still not giving up after the death of the Emperor, which we've heard many stories about with the Alphabet Squadron and Aftermath, so it pretty much falls in line with that. We have this Commodore Corda, who Kevin Scott had officially created in his Adventures from Wild Space books, so check that out. So we have this character that is taking over this planet, and these creatures that are indigenous to the planet are not fighting back because they are demoralized because one of their artifacts, which gives their people inspiration, is gone missing. So we have Lando that agrees to go find this thing, which is on an outpost in the Coruscant system. It's the Emperor's archive. So that's the first time we've ever actually heard of that, I believe. And we know that the Emperor has these observations, or whatever they're called, or observatories, as we find out in the Aftermath, and with Star Wars Battlefront 2 storyline. We have these places where he keeps all these artifacts throughout the galaxy, and that is where one of these is. And, well, they are being guarded by royal guards. So I think that's super cool, seeing the royal guards still thriving after the death of the Emperor. Like, what is their purpose now that the Emperor is dead? They're still around. They're still doing their job of, I guess, till death, they're going to just guard these items. And, well, we find out that Calrissian finds that this character, well, actually, he finds him on the planet with the slaves and brings Jaxxon with him. And by the end of the story, they find the artifact, they bring it back, and all is good with the people. And, well, they rebel against the Empire, and they use their automated TIE drones against these people on Corda. We don't know what the whereabouts of him is, but he does look like he might get away, so we'll see about that. So overall, I really enjoyed this story. Breaking it down even further, I like to see that, first off, carrot juice is canon in Star Wars, guys. So yeah, carrots are canon in Star Wars. There you go. Also, first time seeing Sandrilla. We didn't really see it from a really great perspective, but we do see a little bit of a glance at it. Remember, this is where the New Republic is formed. There's that terroristic attack during the Life Debt book of the Chuck Wendig Aftermath series. So cool, you know, trying to draw in those connections there. Another little cool thing I seen was Jackson's droid is a T7 model, which was featured in the Old Republic. So we even see that, you know, there's a comment that's made about, oh, this droid is really old. So that's pretty cool stuff right there. But overall, just like that kind of glance into the period of right after the Empire is defeated, and still seeing these factions, these sects of the Empire just not giving up. So I was surprised by how good this story is. The adventure stories are fun little stories that I don't really take a lot with me after I finish reading them, but this one is definitely a standout among some of the best told so far. The next story is called So Much More. This one is all about Leia as a very, very small child, and she's being instructed about the importance of her actual mother, Padme, by her adopted mother, Brea Organa. So they're just all around Alderaan, and she's just recounting the events of what has transpired throughout Padme's life in broad strokes, but just telling her the importance of what her mother did to make the galaxy the way it is now. So I thought this story was just beautiful, from the artwork to the actual subject matter. I did not expect to have this story resonate with me as much as it did. Like, it really warmed my heart just seeing Leia as an infant, like, learning about her mother. This kind of falls into place with Return of the Jedi, when she said she knew her mother. At least she knew what she looked like, because there's apparently a statue in Alderaan of Padme as Queen Amidala, as seen in the Phantom Menace with that classic wardrobe, the red dress she wears. It's cool seeing that droid from Leia, Princess of Alderaan, that's mentioned as like her sort of tutor. Cool to see that. Just the amazing artwork and the way it transpires in this story, with, you know, seeing Leia in the same frame as with her mother, and just seeing her from like fighting Nexu to being in the Republic's court and doing all, or the Senate and doing all that, and just really highlighting the best moments of Padme. So overall, this is a really good story. It shows like the origin, if you will, of Leia and where she gets that inspiration to drive forward movement for the rebellion. So moving on to my Twitter question of the week. This one comes to me from Robin McCormick. He is asking me, could that tentacled beast we saw in Solo actually be some kind of monster that was sealed away a long time ago in the mall by ancient Force users, and will it ever return? Now that's a great question, because there is not a lot known about this creature. I don't even think it has a specific name, to be honest with you. But it just lives in this void of space. I feel like it's so interesting to know more about this creature and like what it does to survive, what its purpose is as a symbiotic creature for the galaxy, just living in the void of space. It definitely appears like it could be a creature of the dark side. I mean, just looking at all the reds and just the way it's constructed, this grotesque, terrifying creature. I think it could be, you know, a dark user, a Force user could have created it, like an ancient Sith. I could definitely see it as like a world devourer or something like that, where it could just come down to a planet and just completely wipe it out, at least the surface. So yeah, I mean, I do hope that we see more of these type of creatures. They are always very fascinating to me, learning about these creatures and how they operate in the galaxy. So I do want to update you guys that my format of my shows will be changing a little bit. So I do want to still answer your questions. I am not going to be doing that in these videos anymore. I'm just changing things up a little bit. I do want to do videos where I'll just specifically answer your questions, like Q&A videos. So I'm not going to give you an exact like time estimate on how often they'll come up or when they'll come up, but I'm shooting right now for maybe like once a month, and I will try to let you guys know, like, to send in your questions. That way it could be like a good, you know, 10-15 minute video or something where I'm just ranting off of your questions, just, you know, getting the wheels turning in my head and just having a conversation with you guys about what your questions are. So I'm going to test out that format, but I really do appreciate everybody that has sent in a question to Star Wars Weekly. It's been a lot of fun just chatting back with you guys and really just exploring more and thinking more critically about some of these questions. Really rack my brain for sure. So much appreciated. Much thanks to all you guys. So just, you know, stay tuned on Twitter. I will communicate with you guys about when I'm going to do another Q&A video, just so you guys have enough time to think about questions and send them to me on there through Twitter. So that is going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching. What are you guys excited most for Star Wars? Have you been checking out Target Vader? And what about that Star Wars Adventures Annual? So I've been doing lots of content on the channel recently, and just not only on my channel, but I was recently a guest on Official Bendu's channel. We did a video on Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order about 5 things we're most excited for, so check that out. I'll have a link of that video in the description below. But I also just broke down, or not broke down, I will be breaking down the trailer, but I've reacted so far to the Season 2 trailer for Star Wars Resistance, which ends up being the final season of the series, so make sure you do check out that video. So that's going to do it for me, Starrapter. Thank you so much for watching, and may the Force be with you always. Thanks for checking out the video. Please hit that thumbs up symbol. It helps me know that I'm making content that you guys enjoy. And if you enjoyed this video, I also include 2 videos down below you guys should check out. And please consider subscribing to this channel. It helps support me, and it notifies you guys of when I get new videos up on the channel. You can also contact me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Starrapter.